All right, good morning. We're here to talk today about quarter help and what it's like to hire during Q2 help in the summer. As most of us have experienced, July is a great time to get outside, and despite the fact that Stampede is canceled this year and we won't be missing out on quite as much as we usually do, us CPAs usually get the short end of the stick and are stuck inside their houses and inside their offices doing quarter end reporting. And I wanted to bring some CFOs that have worked many years on public company disclosure and talk about things that they've experienced to make their quarters go well, including hiring assistance and help. One other thing that's come to play this year in 2020 is the number of CPAs that companies like ourselves, Amplify, have in the candidate roster is just incredible. And of course, that's not coming from a good place. It's coming from a sad economy and a sad situation of layoffs. But what's interesting is the number of people that we have available to place right now that normally wouldn't be available for Q2 help. So really great opportunity to get that help this year. And so wanted to talk about how you would go about that if you were to get that type of assistance. So Jason and Leslie, just wanted to ask you guys to give a little bit of background on your quarter experience first. So Jason, we'll start with you.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, thank you, Jamie. I've been public company CFO as well as private company CFO, and have found in the past that Q2 is one of those quarters that a lot of folks want to get through simple and quick, because they've just been through a year end and then a lighter touch Q1, but then there's a lot of people not available for this quarter, especially in the summer. So in my past, I have used consultants and folks that have come in and helped me out, especially during the second quarter of each of my reporting timelines and cycle over the years. So I found it very important, especially in Q2, to get some help and ensure we stay on time and on track.
Thanks, Jason. Leslie?
Yeah, I've been doing quarters for over 20 years. That's a lot of quarters to do. So you learn a lot about how to kind of create a system and a pattern. And the one thing I think about for every quarter before it starts is the time constraints and making sure you understand sort of what is kind of the areas of risk and identifying them ahead of time. And especially with the auditors, it's good to be, honest and say, okay, these are the issues we need to deal with, because you don't want something happening at the end, especially in a board meeting, which I've had that experience where the auditors have disagreed, and it's not a very comfortable feeling for the board or for the people doing it. The other good thing about making sure you're prepared for a quarter is time, in regards to creating buffers of time, because what happens with a corporate group is they always are the last to finish. And so no matter what drags for time and people run into snags or certain things they're trying to close in the divisionals sometimes, then you always are bouncing against the time. And so you need to just understand sort of where to hit the areas pointly and make sure that you've covered all the material items.
Nice. I think both of those make a lot of sense. So obviously in a world like today, where a lot of our finance and accounting friends are still working from home, it can feel quite risky and almost, I would say, more work than it's worth to bring on help, especially help that's not available to sit side by side and right there in front of you, but actually would be working from their home. So I think that's a real objection and a real concern for a lot of CFOs and controllers that know their team is burnt out from having the kids underfoot and having all of this chaos with our safety and health concerns with COVID. What would you suggest in terms of getting that help and mitigating that risk in order to support the teams and the cultures that are already in a hard spot? Leslie, you want to go first on this one?
Sure. I think it's just strong communication, making sure that you're talking to those people and listening to where they feel they're, slowing behind or the issues that they're dealing with, and making sure it's discussed through the whole team. Working as a team, a CFO knows that they need to have a strong team around them and strong skills. And so that's important to build up. And that's where you kind of realize you can bring those CPAs in who know, how to react quickly.
Nice. Jason?
Yes, totally agree with Leslie on all of that. And there's sometimes an urgent feeling, and with the COVID and the at-home situation, it's definitely amplified even more so. So I think my comfort zone as a CFO would be to have someone come in and already running or ready to fire it up immediately, and to be able to help out while the CFO is able to identify the risks that Leslie mentioned on her previous answer, but concentrate on almost with regards to the board relations and the real risks, and allow this person to come in and help out immediately in a unique situation. And I think to do that, you have to have someone very qualified and that you're comfortable with, and that can be a part of your team immediately.
Great. And yeah, at Amplify, we find the same thing. If you bring in an overqualified person for a short-term engagement, it's a great way to hit the ground running. And just as both of you mentioned, that person can be head down on memos and specific parts of the engagement and the quarter end, and getting that done just a little bit quicker while the team balances all the unique characters and circumstances that always come up in these stressful times. So I don't want to keep either of you from your day for too long. So just in terms of closing words, if you were to speak to a CFO about how to make this particular quarter go a little smoother, what would your top 1, 2, or 3 piece of advice be? Jason, do you want to go first?
Oh, I think get help. I mean, that's obviously number one. So focus still on operations and strategy, and help can take some of that stress off of your hands while you are still worrying about strategy and operations and longer term risks. And you obviously have to manage the business. So this support can get you through the short run, have very quality backup as part of that process. But I think it's imperative to get some help to not have any gaps pushing forward, especially with some long-term decisions.
Nice. And Leslie?
I think the biggest thing is get into it quickly. We know how to dive into issues. We also know that, at Amplify, we have a team to support us. So if something was to happen where we ran into some deadline that we had to deal with on another client, we have other people behind us to back us up and our experience to do it. The other thing is the three of us are all been auditors. And so we know what the auditors are looking for. We know how the audit how the quarter should get through. And so we kind of can think like an auditor and make sure that the audit and the review engagement goes smoothly.
Perfect. Okay, well, have a great day and good luck as you guys prep for some of your quarter work as well. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks. See you later.